Hello and welcome. Today I'm speaking to Mona Alhebsi, who is an award-winning people and culture expert. She's a success coach, a thought leader. And Mona has been working with Emiratis to get into the private sector. She has been a coach for many people. And I believe she's also been part of our conference, Tawdeef, if I'm not wrong, which is a very unique experience to bring in more young talent, Emirati talent. It is a private sector. Mona, welcome. I would like to ask you, I'm sorry, it's the first question, but what exactly do you think is the main challenge in convincing Emiratis to be part of the private sector?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Omnia, for hosting me. Well, I think Emiratization is a topic that is well talked about nowadays and everywhere, and it's the hot topic, we can say. But then when we talk about Emiratization and attracting Emiratis to the private sector in the UAE, we need to see what are actually the impediment or the obstacle that will that are available right now and that will derive them away. Things like, for example, you asked about challenges. Things about, first of all, the perception, the common perception about working in the private sector. And whatever challenges we are talking about here, it comes most of the time both ends. So whether it's the perception of Emiratis working in the private sector or wanting to work in the private sectors and how they perceive the private sector as a career or as a job, as a place to work, or what it's about employers also, like how they are perceiving Emiratis. And it's both ends. But then I would say in the very beginning, when Emiratization started, this was really an issue. And there was a lot of misconceptions and unconscious bias going on, whether it is from employers' point of view or whether it's from Emiratis about working in the private sector. There is always a comparison between what I will get as an Emirati if I work in the private sector and versus the government or a government institution in terms of benefits, in terms of salary, even in terms of flexibility of working hours. So I think this would be the very first thing, the working hours, the flexibility, and the benefits. But then, how do I look at job security as an Emirati when I work in the private sector? There's a lot of multicultural, scenario there. Like there are people who come from different cultures. So how would I be taken care of? Will I be developed? Like people will develop me, will have keen interest in developing me as an Emirati or not. And then people talk and then things go around. So, but with time, fortunately, we started having good, vibe in private sector, especially with the introduction of NAFIS. Because then people started having that sense of security that the government is backing up this. And there are a lot of schemes now that NAFIS is offering, whether in terms of monetary schemes, salary support schemes, pension schemes, or developmental, like whether I can be invested in as an Emirati, I can attend courses or get a credential that will support my career progress in the private
And
sector.
how is that actually helping? And so you have been mentoring before all these programs, and now what kind of a difference have you witnessed?
Well, definitely, it's a big change in perception. It's a big change in how the local community started perceiving private sector. Like in my daily day-to-day job now, my capacity now, I'm actually working directly with Emiratis, job seekers, and Emiratis who work in the private sector. I'm providing career coaching services to them. And I can hear all the comments, all the shift that happened in the mindset, all those fears, all those gaps or challenges that we were talking about. It started cooling down, like started having backups. For example, if Emiratis were worried about salary, the salary gap between government and private sector, then here we go. We have NAFIS is offering now the salary scheme program, which will support them based on their qualification or academic education. Well, the pension scheme. So Emiratis will actually get subsidies from government in terms of their pension if they join the private sector. If I'm an Emirati and I don't know what to do, I'm very new to private sector, I have concerns, I don't have the right guidance, then okay, I know that now NAFID provide the career counseling program, and I can book it, I can speak to a career counselor and verify my doubts. So it seems like NAFIDs have really brought into place a very well thought of program or scheme for Emiratis that address different parts of the whole, concern that used to be there before about working in the private sector.
Is there something that NAFIS could have done more, and you think it's still in a process?
Well, definitely, of course. We all know that, for any program of this size, like because now NAFIS is really catering to the whole nation, like for everyone, and it's focusing on achieving the Emiratization agenda that is, given by the government. But then we also know that in the launch of any new project or program, there's always areas for improvement. There's always continuous well thought of improvement that comes into place based obviously on what's going on the feedback, on the results that were supposed to be achieved or not. But then we are really proud to see that NAFIS has been exceeding the targets put in place, but also through the career counseling program, we are receiving so many comments from Emiratis day to day, like, okay, this would have been better, this is what's happening in the sector, this is what's happening. So there are a lot of plans, I would say, that the government is well aware of because of this kind of feedback that reaches us. And there are a lot of things that's coming up these days. One thing in particular, I think that could have been done better, and I think there is a plan to do it, is better integration of, let's say, Emiratis and private sector, or let's say counseling for private sector institution, like we do for Emiratis, because we want all to be at the end of the day on the same page, So now currently, I think there is a plan for something similar coming up, but then I think this is really basic because then we work with both, stakeholders basically.
What do you think conferences like Tawdeef does to help the case? And if it actually does, you can say it doesn't.
Yeah, well, see, so I think one of the biggest advantages that conferences like Tawdeef does in this job market, in the Emirati job market, is build awareness. Create, connect, like employees and employers, companies, to offer jobs for nationals. And I think the way these kind of conferences have evolved with time, because I remember like maybe 10 or 15 years back when we used to have these kind of conferences, the
Career fairs.
The career fairs, yeah, the career fairs. It used really to be quite monotonous because that's how the way it used to be. But then, interestingly, things have evolved to a very different level where actually, as an Emirati, I can come and visit these fairs and have a look at different booths, meet different employers, talk to them, and actually do on the spot interviews and find out then and there whether something will be available for me or not. Not only that, but also I am a new graduate, let's say, and I don't know much about the job market or the private sector. Then conferences or career fairs like Tawdeef provide me with the platform to go and actually see what's going on, talk to employers, attend sessions like the session that you used to run, or you run actually the last one, and you always used to run awareness session about different things that I need to know as a potential job seeker or potential employee in the private sector, what their expectations, the kind of skills I need to build, and what else I need to know, to whom I need to talk. So it's kind of building really awareness.
Right, but are employers really serious? I mean, I let's say I have a job and I post it and I go to these fairs and I spend money, etc. But am I really serious on finding this kind of talent, or I already have someone, but I just have to do it for the sake of doing it?
But this is also another thing now that we need to talk about, because see, now in this kind of scenario, that I mean, we have career fair, people organization participate in it, people come and apply for jobs, but then here I think the employers or the organizations also need to be very clear about what they want, like exactly what you asked. Because okay, I can always go and participate in career fairs and tell people that okay, I'm a great company and I have jobs, and come all the locals, I want to give you career opportunities. But is it really the case, as you asked? Is it really the case? And how would we know this? We would know this with time, with like, I mean, if someone comes and apply, and what happens next. Now, especially that we have this career counseling program in NAFIS, and it's very growing in popularity. We kind of hear all the feedback from people who visit career fairs and who have not heard from employers, or people who work in private sector and get treated in a certain way. I mean, um, a lot of question doesn't have answers except time. You know, like a lot of time, you need to give people time, and the time will tell you whether okay, this company is really willing to develop and invest in Emirati talent, or is it really a marketing or PR that they are doing, and people will know with time. But I think
Right.
at the end of the day, everyone needs to ride this wave, because like it's coming, whether people like it or not, because it's also the right thing to do at the end of the
Right.
day.
Are Emirati talents rare?
Hmm.
Are they rare?
It really depends on what kind of talent you are looking for. So I would say, um, and the way we see it actually, I mean, in NAFIS, for example, I mean, when you go and look at the kind of vacancies posted in NAFIS by companies to attract nationals, and this is one of the things that I have been really talking about a lot, you know, in the past few months, that when you go and look in NAFIS, it's mostly the entry level kind of jobs being posted. But hey, I mean, are we saying as companies, are we having this perception that okay, we really Emiratis are only good enough for the entry level jobs? I mean, what happens to those Emiratis who are experienced, seasoned, know in their field? We don't see these kind of jobs posted, or we don't see those kind of roles offered to
Because
Emiratis a lot.
is it because their perception is that Emiratis are not good for that, or perhaps it is because these people have jobs and they get headhunted to better jobs. It could be
This
the
is
other
the
way.
yeah, this is the point. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying it always depends on the industry, first of all, or on the talent itself, on the job at hand, like what kind of role you as a company is trying to fill, and then only you can post the job and see the people who apply for it, and evaluate whether really there is an Emirati talent or it's not there. Of
Mhm.
course, I understand, and the new specializations and some of the areas where we know that it can be sometimes challenging to have Emiratis in those in a certain roles, that's everyone understand it. But I would not say really it's rare, or it's
Oh,
very
no,
rare,
no.
or it's really not rare. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really depends on a lot of factors. But here also we need to emphasize on the role of the companies or private sector institution play in actually giving opportunities for those Emiratis. I mean, obviously, if you look at most of the graduates, let's say, you wouldn't really expect someone to have certain amount of experience. I mean, now that people have this awareness and they go to do volunteering or train in certain companies before getting a full-time job, that's an awareness that is being built and developed in this country, in this part of the world. But then your corporate social responsibility as a company entails that actually you give them this chance, especially that as a graduate, I'm sure you will not put them in leadership positions. You put them in entry level positions, but then also make sure when you do that, you have a very clear development plan for them, so that you evaluate. Because as a market, we have a lot of regulation, we have a lot of law that will regulate the employee-employer relationship. So there's no chance actually that someone can come to work and not work properly, because you will then performance manage, right? So
Right.
there are a lot of things that need to work and know that it exists.
Right. Mona, that was really intense and very deep. I just want to wrap up this interview by asking you, what do you think are the right action steps to target the right talent, right Emirati talent in the private sector?
Well, so I think it's very see Omnia, like a lot of time when people ask me this question, I think Emiratization doesn't differ from any other human resources or human capital initiative, in where we say, okay, and generic now, leave Emiratis on the side for a while, but then as a company who want to attract top talent, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to build my employment brand. Obviously, I need to let people know this is me as a company, this is my organization culture, these are the values. And then I also highlight success stories. If I'm, for example, would like to be known as a company who attract Emiratis, then hey, have high performing Emiratis, you know, take them with you in career exhibitions and road shows, and just talk about them in social media. I mean, this is the very simple thing that companies can do, but I see a very great opportunity there not being tapped into, you know. So
Right.
besides that, when companies talk about inclusivity or being including, like inclusive, what do they mean by that? It's about having values, having including Emiratis in decision making, having valuing them, respecting them, and making sure that they are heard. So it's not about only recruiting and then leaving it. No, it's a whole employee life cycle process that
Right.
you start from the very beginning until the end.
Amazing. Thank you, Mona, for your time. This was really useful, and hopefully I'll see you in Tel Aviv.
Inshallah. Thank you, Amnia, for having me.